Welcome to another episode of Inadequate Mother. My name's Hayley Brown and I will be interviewing the beautiful Kori today, and she will be my first deaf guest. And I've been trying and scrambling with work and everything to try and voice over this episode with the value and just the credit it deserves, because literally Kori is the most intuitive, spiritually gifted person I know, and I know it's because she's deaf. So this week on Deaf Awareness Week, I want to release this episode not to talk about topics linked with deafness, but just to showcase the beautiful skills and gifts and deaf gain, let's say. Because when you have a sense that's gone, so if you're deaf, you have a sense that's gone, and then your other, like your intuition, your touch, your sight, those increase. It doesn't just disappear and you become disabled. You just have a reshift of gifts and power in other areas. So one thing I will say is this episode, for everyone that's just listening through podcast platforms, it will sound quite strange because it's going to be Kori's voice and my voice are going to be the same. Hey ho, this is the barrier we have, and this is the communication style that is. And I want to kind of, just experiment with editing content that has both sign language, hearing, deaf, spiritually gifted, masculine, logical person like me. Our conversation is just incredible. It's literally, I say this a lot, but I say, it's my favourite episode, but I just really gained from it. So I hope everyone enjoys it. Please comment on the video. Please engage with me on Instagram. Please promote this. I am self-funding this podcast, but I believe in conversation. I believe in connection. I believe in talking and allowing accessible, relaxed conversation. So, without further ado, enjoy. Proper podcasting studio. Hello. What's your cat's name?
Did you not know his name? He's a famous cat. Let me get these leaves out of the way. His name is Onyx.
Yeah, I remember now. I remember.
Like the black stone?
Yeah, I've got crystals. Brilliant.
Do you know about crystals?
Yeah, I know Seba. She's a deaf lady and she's a qualified crystal expert. So I know the basics. Black tourmaline is supposed to protect your energy. So when I'm working with clients, they can really drain me out. And my friend said I should really get that because it's really good at preserving your energy. So I ordered a massive crystal. I thought, fuck it, it's £70. Yeah, real crystal. Yeah, really expensive. I had to wait ages. It was from abroad. But as soon as I got it, didn't feel my energy getting drained. But obviously later it kind of worn off, because it needed to be charged.
Charge it?
Yeah, you kind of charge it with the moon.
That's really interesting. Okay, welcome to this podcast. However you want to sign it.
I think some people do like this.
Podcast?
Or podcast.
Podcast.
Well, that's more like video, isn't it? That kind of sign.
Well, we're having a conversation. Welcome to Inadequate Mothers. We have the lovely Kori Bella.
Hello, hi.
I wanted her to be my first deaf guest. We met through Instagram and I was really impressed with her work. She's a beautiful person, very intelligent, and I'm just intrigued as to how you know so much and how many years have you been practicing?
So I started around lockdown, so it's been about 5 years now.
5 years.
So I'm a spiritual coach and a psychic. So I've started doing that. Yeah, psychic. I've started channeling what spirits and things are saying. I've always had that gift growing up, but I really kept it in because I was embarrassed and, I was worried people were going to sound crazy. So, I just kept it in. But through lockdown, I started doing the tarot cards and I could feel that gift there, but I just still kept it back. And my friend was just, come on, Kori, encouraging me to get rid of the fear and just come out with it. So I started doing some emails where I'd read emails and then reply. But I knew that reading the emails, I was hiding behind the emails.
So who were you sending emails to?
Just clients, and I would give them a psychic message. But it was still hiding through emails. So just before Christmas, I thought, fuck it. You have to show and share. You can't hide all the time. So just before Christmas, I practiced more on friends and family, and then just started kind of being proud and accepting that gift that I've got that I'd been really reluctant to share.
What does it mean? Can you clarify to your audience what a psychic means? Are you predicting the future, looking at the past?
It can be. Yeah, it can be.
Anything to do with ghosts?
Maybe not ghosts. I mean, it can be the past, future and your current circumstance. So it's more your guided angels, really. Maybe they're from your past life giving you a message. And always when I sit with someone, it's kind of an instant thing. And I can see your current situation, how you're feeling, your emotions, whatever's blocked. I can see your chakras and which chakras would be blocked. And it's connected to your inner child. And depending on who comes, I kind of close my eyes and channel that through. And it's like this energy that comes through a channel. I don't know what the sign for channel is, but on YouTube, they would try and say to a person, pick numbers 5 or 7. You choose a number, and then you would then channel that message. But that's with a kind of broad audience. If you wanted a specific channeling, obviously, that would be specific to them from their specific guided angel and the spiritual world. So, I was really reluctant to show that, but thought, fuck it, you have to do what you want.
So it's clearly a gift. You are skilled. Anyone who is a psychic is. But what's the difference between being a psychic and having intuition? Because me, personally, I have natural intuition and it's quite strong. So I do wonder, what is the difference between the two?
Okay, so we all have intuition. And, some people say they don't have it, but we all have to have it. I will explain to my clients, when people come to Earth, they have a mind, body and soul for survival. And, our spirit needs to be guided, otherwise we'd be lost. We have to have a form of intuition.
You have to.
Yeah, so it's like your feelings, your emotions, they guide you through life. But the difference with psychic to intuition is like an inner voice telling you this direction. And so your intuition is protecting you. Your intuition is saying, do this, do that, go that way. And your gut feeling is telling you, what you shouldn't do to protect you. That's not good for you. That's not the right person for you. And I always tell people, when people are saying, it's good, and you're not following that gut feeling, it's bad. But with psychic, you're receiving information for other people. So it's more specific.
So is it an energy?
Yeah, I mean, like an energy. Well, that's a really good question. Okay. So, for example, you were buying a house and you're sitting there and you're thinking, I want that house. But then your intuition saying no. And then you would have a psychic encounter where you'd have more information and it would be more direct, informative. You are not buying that house because another house is better for you. So intuition is more of a pull and push where you're guided, whereas psychic is more specific information.
Right.
And, they might be telling you need to believe in yourself. You need to heal more of your emotional trauma. You need to do something. And it's a specific informative message rather than just a push and a pull. Intuition is kind of a push and a pull feeling, and it's like whether your emotions or energy are off. People don't understand that, but that push and pull feeling is what's guiding us. So yeah, I would have a pull and an urge to tell somebody something. That message would come through and I'd tell them, and I have it all the time, Hayley, honestly. I'll give you an example. I think I went to bed about like 10 o'clock or something, and through the night, my mind kind of, it wasn't processing anything. You know when you go to bed and you're like, I think I need to go to the toilet, so you get up and your mind is taking you to the toilet. But I had nothing in my head. I literally just got up and it just pulled me out of the bed. And my father, I saw he had a really sore wrist on the sofa, so I asked him to let me heal him because he doesn't believe in Reiki and things like that. But I said to him, come on, just let me. And then I healed him, and then that was it. Like it was
really?
almost just, it was just like a pull towards my father, and I didn't realise. And after I'd healed him, the angel came, gave me the message, I healed the wrist, and then when I'd finished, I was just like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I hadn't even cognitively processed me getting out of bed. So your intuition is definitely more advanced than your logic, and your brain is constantly playing catch up to your intuition. We have to recognise the advancedness of our intuition. And there's things that you will feel like you have to do, but your mind is constantly catching up. And, you know, I always have that all the time, like with my father and that instance, you know, he had a blockage from his guided angel, and I needed to go and be with him in that moment. Obviously, he'd heard it all before from me. He doesn't really believe in it, but I think it's important that we recognise that your cognitive and mind processing is very different to your intuition. And the logic will try and take over, but it is trying to catch up.
So take me, for example, I'm a woman, I'm 40 years old. Well, I'll be 40 this year. And I've been through so many life experiences. And I have a strong intuition. But when you experience things such as heartbreak or any sort of disaster, it makes you scared to follow your intuition. And you try to learn logic. Because maybe for the past 20 years, you know, you feel like intuition, you know, is a lower risk of things such as heartbreak. And as I'm getting older, I want to prevent being hurt. So with Matt, for instance, I followed my heart and we have broken up. And it took me a long time to follow my intuition because he's a good person, he's a good partner, we should stay together, he's helped me so much. But my logic was superseding the intuition. And before, I always used to follow my intuition, follow my heart, follow the romance. But now I feel like logic is something to adhere to or listen to more. But you're saying that it's more about intuition than logic?
Well, your mind is allocated to your masculine energy. And masculine energy isn't just about men. It's about processing the job, the task, you know, what we need to get sorted. But your intuition is very linked to your internal feminine energy.
So being a single mum, I've had to tap into that masculine energy.
Can understand.
And I realise now, for instance, when a married couple are raising children, you have the advantage of a male and female. So a mixture, but I've had to take on both masculine and feminine energy. My daughter's going off to university soon, so I want to tap into my feminine energy.
Yeah, just to clarify as well, masculine has got nothing to do with man. Most people think, you know, masculine energy is centered around a man, but we must have both. and they must be balanced. Your masculine logic, your, work, but your feminine is more spiritual and it's merged into your masculine. And if you're in a relationship, it could be a woman-man or woman and woman, same-sex relationship. It's going to more likely work out if you've got a balance of masculine and feminine and you can fit together.
Oh, I love that sign.
Yeah, just putting the hands intertwined. It's hard to do sometimes.
Did you create the sign?
I think so, yeah. But
she's just so fantastic, isn't she? That's so amazing, you are.
yeah, so we need both masculine and feminine energy to balance. But if a person has too much feminine, they're too overgiving, too caring, and, kind of empathetic, and it's too much. And then someone with too much masculine energy will be just cut off and maybe give tough love. And you can also be like a wounded masculine and wounded feminine. So the balance needs to be right. And, for example, I have clients that book and they maybe a book to go to a place, and we say you have to just sit and pause and listen to your intuition and just wait.
Pause?
Yeah, just communicate with yourself. Communicate with your inner kind of child. Should I be going to this place? I always just try and be quiet, or just try and not think and just pull myself with my intuition, move with my intuition. And if a person has too much masculinity, the logic will take over and it will just overshadow the intuition. Because a feminine energy needs space to come out. It needs a safe space. Because that's how you look after yourself. That's how you take care of it. And it's, unless you're in a safe space or in a safe environment, it will not come out, and your masculine energy will take over and your feminine energy will get ignored, and then your inner child will get annoyed, and then the masculine energy becomes louder and louder and louder. So we really need our intuition, and we need to just wait, sit with it, and just, if our masculine energy is too loud and our logic's taken over, we just need to wait. And sometimes your friends will be saying, no, come on, let's do this, and you just have to say no.
So wait and give it time.
Yeah, just allow yourself time. I think one time before, when I was sitting around, I was eating something, and a person said to me, I said to a person, sorry, like, I need you to move, quick, you need to move. And something happened and fell and would have hit them, and like everyone looked at me and they didn't know, but it was just a pull towards telling that person. And then that message kind of just, once I told him, they left me. It's like a board. It was just like a board, but everyone looked at me and they were really thankful, but I'd obviously moved them out the way. But yeah, example as well, my sister, she's a really busy lady. And I can really feel a person's nervous system. So if she's cooking, she's burnt out, or she's busy. I remember like one time, first thing in the morning, I was really calm, and my sister visited me, woke up, and I was telling her, please slow down. She was like, what do you mean? I've got 3 children. And I was like, just getting constantly pulled to say, please slow down. It's always like this in the morning. And she was saying, this is just motherhood. But that energy it was literally affecting me, and I couldn't breathe. So eventually we sat down and we calmed down. But she was just like, why did you need to say that? And I was like, I know you need to slow down. And I just kept repeating it. And later on, there would be some health issues. So it's like I know what's going to happen, and I have that pull towards me. So masculine and feminine energy, we must have that. And it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. Society thinks it's about, connected to a man's role and a woman's role. It doesn't matter if you're transgender, non-binary, or, identify as a woman. It's about your inner relationship. And if you're in a relationship with a person, it's going to work out more if you've got masculine and feminine aligned. And that strong masculine or strong feminine, too much, it's just going to cause clashes. real clashes, and you will end up acting a certain way to try and rebalance.
So I was having a conversation on the podcast with somebody by the name of Andy Palmer. We were having a conversation about relationships. He's a single father, I'm a single mother, and we were having a conversation about relationships. And I feel as though older men find it quite difficult at the moment because society is changing, women are changing, the role of a woman is changing too. We are reflective. We understand ourselves, our emotions, our past traumas. We're reflective. And we realise so much growth through this. But with men, older men particularly, I don't think they've had the time to self-reflect. Not as much as women anyway. And before, I always dated older men. But now, I do feel as though it isn't suitable for me. Because younger men, for instance, they have had the chance to go to therapy, develop their communication skills, become self-reflective, and that's the norm. But for the older generation, men over 40, I wouldn't say they practice this as
So
much.
you feel like it's hard to find an older guy who has an emotional intelligence or is capable of self-reflection? Wow, okay, yeah, I understand. That must be hard. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, really and truly, yeah. And for my self-development, you know, I can't force a person to do this. You know, they don't have to be self-reflective, not by force, even if you do love someone.
Yeah, because that is part of creating a healthy relationship, though. They have to look within.
Yeah, you can't force them, but all I can do is focus on myself, and that's what I've been trying to do. But now I do feel it is almost impossible to fully connect with somebody who is older or who doesn't understand me. But with a younger man, they want children, don't they? So there's so much to contend with. And you did say that your clients, some of them are mothers, right?
Yeah, I have lots of mothers.
So I'm hoping this podcast will help some of these mums, even fathers, parents who are feeling uncertain or are feeling inadequate, who aren't feeling enough or lacking in confidence, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But how can you help mothers? Tell us a bit more.
Okay, so this is perfect thing to think about and talk about. And I always have, you know, mothers that come to me. And of course, at the end of the day, we all love each other. We love our children so much. But it is really interesting because I regularly see it when a child is born or, you know, a mother's child is born, everything in terms of that mom's trauma or pain that they thought had healed just comes shooting back. It's like you think you're confident, you think you're healed, you think you're assertive, but then this change happens and then you become more self-critical, and obviously you can give love, but then you might be thinking, but my parents didn't give me that love. How can I give it to my child if I didn't feel it myself? So this is a really powerful experience. And I explain to mums, you know, when a baby is born and when you give birth to a child, you are also rebirthing yourself. You're also going through...
When you're becoming a mum?
Yeah, when you're becoming a mum, it's called almost rite of passage. And rite of passage is kind of a change, a journey, where you go and you have this child, you're a mother, and that child has an identity, but then your identity is also reforming. And I have this Instagram lady, and I guided her through her home birth, and it was amazing. And after the child was born, she felt lost. She didn't know who she was. And I had to explain, you're rebirthing yourself. It's not just about your child. It's a spiritual experience. And it's for you to acknowledge in yourself as well. And most of the time, the child is reflecting your inner child.
Reflecting.
Yeah, so reflecting back to you. Yeah, so your inner child has been reflected back to you.
Yeah, I agree, actually. When I look at my children, they teach me so much about myself. And they've helped me grow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean...
And I realise, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, really. It's an amazing experience. And I always say, the universe is too intelligent for us. We're shit, honestly. They must think we're stupid. But...
Yeah, it is hard because children do have an expectation of me to be intelligent, know everything, make sure they're in a safe space. And when they do get older, they realise there's only so much I can do. I'm inadequate. You're learning, I'm learning. We're learning at the same time.
Yeah, and if you think about it, it's like different ages have different energy. But I've always said, older people provide experience, but children give wisdom.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I like
wisdom. So... children are full of energy, you know, they don't have boundaries. If they want food, they ask for food. They'll tell you no. They want love. They're not embarrassed to ask. They don't think, oh, am I going to get judged? Am I asking too much for love? No, it's just give me this now. I'm going to cry now. You know, they'll dream and they'll imagine and they'll get what they want and they'll have the confidence. But it's only over time when society immerses themselves into that child that then, you know, and I think it's from the age of 7, really. Up until then, they're just full of themselves, the love. They don't care. There's no shame. They'll cry, they'll scream, they'll shout. I want this. And empathy as well. Honestly, my nephew, his empathy is incredible. And when I can see society changing him, and he used to cry, but now he won't cry. And we need to be free. We need to just travel and be free and not think about perfection or being the perfect person. So older people have experience and younger have the wisdom. So when we go to the children, they've got loads of energy and a load of things. And that's reflecting back on us and our inner child with our trauma from society.
What do you mean?
So, like, for example, children, they're naturally intuitive, they're naturally wise, they're naturally empathetic, loving. And I remember one time my nephew, he was 5, he'd sit and, you know, we was with friends anyway. My nephew is so sweet. And I was sat there and I was a little bit cold. And he, at 5 years old, his intuition looked at me straight away and he said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Are you okay?" He was watching a Disney movie and I was a little bit cold. And as soon as he looked at me, I knew he'd clocked it. And he went straight off and just come back and gave me this blanket. And I was like, "Thank you." And he's like, they've got this pure connection where they understand and they're loving. And so I thanked him because he knew I was cold. And I said, "Are you cold?" He's like, "No." So if you now see children, especially younger children, and you look at them, they're really empathetic, intuitive. They just have a pure type of energy that's very high frequency. And people can't manage that because it's too much, because it's reflecting on them, their trauma, which is immersed in society. So when I always say they're like children of the universe, and there's a beautiful quote, child in an adult body. We're all children in an adult body. We've all got bills, we've got things, responsibilities, we have to go work and things like that. But we all are just children. We all just want happiness and joy. We all want laughter. Yeah. We all want wisdom. We all want to love each other. Yeah, so that's the child energy we need to take with us. But when we go into workplace, we take the mask off and we have the boundaries and we say, don't say this, we don't do this. And then when we get home, that's why we're worn out. So anyway, I'm going off point. But
No, really, this is on point because it's perfect what you're saying, really. Because for me, next year, I'll be 40 years old. And I feel as though my inner child is telling me it's your time now. I've been a mum, I've been looking after children, paying bills. So I've ignored my inner child for a long time.
Yeah.
The inner child that wants love,
Yeah.
excitement, joy. It's my time. And my children are looking at me as if I've gone mad. You know, yes, I have to focus on my children, but it's also my time, because I've spoken about my mum and what happened with her. And with my social media, the aim is to share stories. My mum's stories, she passed away. And it's right what you said. Sometimes you feel lost when your children fly the nest. Who am I?
Yeah.
What am I? So,
Yeah.
you know, the reflective practice wasn't there. And she drank alcohol and died. So that inner child, you have to listen to it when it speaks to you. Yeah, if you feel inadequate or as if you don't have enough confidence, or you're burnt out looking after children, managing the house, paying bills, it's almost as though you're a robot.
Yeah. I think with my clients, I can't... Obviously, I've got no children myself now. So, but I always say, if you are thinking, am I a good mum?
Yeah.
And you're self-critical, that means you're a good
I
mum,
say
because
the
you're
same.
having that thought. You're having the thought, am I good enough? And then also, some people say that 40s is the best. Or is it 40s is the new 30s and the new 20s? I can't remember, but you've really found yourself at 40. So I think you're on the right path, and I think your intuition might be right and telling you, you know, in terms of like splitting up with Matt, you were right to have that.
It's scary, because for so many years I've been following my logic, doing the right things, working, studying, looking after children, but my intuition is something I need to follow now.
Yeah.
I need to listen to the universe.
Yeah. Be guided, be guided. I was with my ex for 7 years, and I was happy at the start. And as the years went on, I think 4 or 5 years, I started to get that gut feeling. I started to, you know, really feel like... I remember being in the bath and my intuition was just saying, I needed to go. And I was scared, because at that time, he was my safety net, like definitely my safety net. And I thought, if I left him, where do I go? I have no house. Like, what do I do? And I was constantly trying to push aside these gut feelings that were telling me. Because at first it is scary. You feel sick. It's emotional. You know, your intuition is just going at it and you're trying to ignore it. But my partner, I think my ex-partner, he knew at that time. And it's really funny, because when we were together, he would often say, one day you're going to fly away. And I'd be like, yeah, he said, I was only 19 at the time, so he knew. And I was like, no, you know, we're going to be together forever. But he's like, no, one day you're going to fly away.
And how old was he?
So he was 24 and I was 19, so he's a bit older.
So he knew?
Yeah. So, yeah, he knew when I told him. He knew as soon as I said. Like, he was really emotional. I was crying. But then I met Craig, and he's the most perfect person for me. And plus, when I met Craig, it was a twin flame experience, very deep.
Want that. And I would like to discuss that a bit more.
Yes, actually. I appreciate that. Honestly, it was so amazing, twin flames. And he's my teacher. He reflects me in a deeper level. So I have a life with him, and as soon as I was with him, I knew I needed to set up the business. There was no delaying. It just got done straight away, and it was my divine kind of...
What do you mean? He helped you, or...?
No, just the fact that I was with him.
Okay, because you were together.
Yeah, so we were balanced.
Yin and yang.
Yeah, yin and yang. And, you know, it's your divine work, basically, will begin when when everything's balanced. Your divine work will begin. And as soon as I was moved in with him, I just kind of thrived. That's really
interesting. I've experienced a twin flame before. I was in a relationship. I was engaged for 5 years, We were doing long distance. He's an American man. I'm an English woman. But we were together for 5 years. That was my twin flame. We were fully connected, even though we were miles apart. I used to fly over every 6 weeks, regularly. That was what we did for 5 years. And we had a very strong connection. And we met when I went on holiday to Jamaica, and we locked eyes. And as soon as we locked eyes, that was it. When I sat down, I had this weird feeling. I went to the bar, I went to get a drink, and he was with a group of friends, a group of men, and I was there with my family. So I sort of snuck away from the family and ordered a drink, and he sat next to me, and I felt this sensation. It was a weird feeling. I couldn't explain it. The next day, he flew away. We did exchange numbers, and I never thought I'd see him again. But he was always in my mind, constantly. I couldn't get away from that feeling. I think I messaged him, or did he message me first? I can't really remember, but there were messages back and forth via text message. And both of us experienced the same thing. And it was such a weird feeling, but I couldn't ignore it. And 5 years later, he proposed. And I know that experience, a twin flame. And I was heartbroken when COVID started because we decided to separate. COVID just changed the dynamic. And it stunted my development. You know, managing COVID in America is different from how I would manage in the UK. So we decided to end it. And you know, COVID times, everyone was being a bit more reflective, looking at how they can develop. It was such a weird moment in time. So we separated. And again, I was heartbroken. And I thought I'd never meet my twin flame again. So now, when it comes to relationships, I make practical choices. And for me, Matt was a practical choice. I don't know if I'll ever experience that again. But how do you know?
Yeah. I think, first of all, it's really hard, because when that person's reflecting your emotions, your trauma, your inner child.
Reflects your trauma?
Yeah, twin flames, trauma, yeah. So you're wounded.
So your wounds, trauma bonding is not something you'd recommend, no?
No, it's not so much trauma bonding. It's more like, let me give you some context. I love you so much, I want you to heal. So I'm your mirror. And I'm bringing that to you for your self-love, your self-worth, your everything for you, your pain. I'm bringing that to reflect onto you so that you can look within to yourself. And you can reflect the inner world. And it's just... You might need to believe in yourself. You might not think you're enough. You might have a spiritual gift or everything. It just might need to be reflected onto you. So I remember going into Pizza Hut delivery because I was working there, and Craig was working there. He was the manager, and as soon as I saw him, I felt like I
felt that before.
I felt like I'd known him my whole life. As soon as we caught eye contact, my heart raced. I felt like I knew. He come over to shake my hand, and there was a hearing woman that could sign, and she told me he was the boss, and I was like, I'm really sorry, because I felt rude. I'd been rude to him. I just thought he was a normal delivery driver, and I didn't realise he was the boss because he was so young. But then as soon as I shook his hand, that instant connection. And then straight after that, he was in my dreams. He was in my dreams every day, in my dreams. And I was driving around on car reg place. I could see everywhere CJ, which was his initials. I could see it everywhere I went, literally. And I was just like, right, this is just crazy. And I thought, no way could I be with him. He's hearing and I'm deaf, and, we couldn't. But it was just in my dreams constantly. And then he told me he's gone and downloaded a BSL app, and he was learning sign language. And the man was so busy at the time And he was just putting in all the hours. And I thought, wow, he's doing that for me. Because at work I was quite isolated and, you know, I had to write things down. But then Craig had noticed straight away that there was no communication going on with me when I was working there. So he'd like tell everyone, come on, we've got to get Kori involved. He just saw it within me, and he just straight away connected with me. And I was just so in love with him. But this funny thing happened when we had sex, honestly. When we had sex, it was just pure magic. Babe, it was absolute pure magic. I closed my eyes and I could see bloody sparkles, like fireworks. Yeah, it was. And actually, for me, I mean, we were actually under the stars. I won't share anymore. I won't share anymore.
You just shared it.
You out? Okay, I know now. I can't go back. Take it out. Edit it out. Yeah, it was just pure magic, honestly, the first time, under the stars, closed my eyes. And yeah, it was just, and after we were talking and we spoke about it, like, did you feel that connection? Did you feel the stars? And I told him he'd been in my dreams, and we're going back and forth with one another. And obviously I had to work things out with my ex. He worked things out with his. And, you know, we then decided that I was going to leave and go back to London. And he was like, no, you can't, please. And I wasn't stimulated in this small town. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to have experience. I wanted to go. I was bored of this small town. So he had to really, he was just like, please don't go. So anyway, after a while he understood. And I went to London, but he just visited me and did that 3-hour journey. And my friend said to me, he really likes you, you know. And at that time, I was young. I was like, whatever. But this particular friend I've grown up with and known since I was 3. And she'd always told me, you know, I'd gone for the pretty boys, gone for pretty men. And then I think I'd had 3 relationships at the time.
What do you mean? Relationship 3 times?
Yeah, I'd been in 3 proper relationships all my life. And, you know, I would date guys and I'd be really like enthusiastic. And I'm like, hopefully he'll be the man for me. And then and they get bored. And then my friend said to me, as soon as you say Craig's name, your energy changes. I was like, no, I don't. She was like, you're in love with him. But she knew me. She knew me since I was 3 years old. And she knew I was in love with Craig, and she was right. I was definitely in love with him. So that's amazing.
Would you say back then you were following your logic?
Yes,
and not
exactly.
your intuition?
That's it. That's how, you know, how we're going to manage being far away. And it's just trust. I think Craig was just very faithful and trusting. It's quite a strange thing to say, but it was like, just trust. And then we struggled through the long distance, and then lockdown came and Craig just said, come and live with me. And my intuition immediately said, yep, I'm going. And I just felt pulled to go. And I was quite excited as well. I didn't just...
Do you think at that time you realised that your intuition is powerful?
I think
and that was when you recognised your gift?
Yeah.
That's maybe helped you unlock.
Yeah, it became more unlocked, more open. And I think they announced the COVID lockdown. I think it was something like March time. And I was really quick. I thought I had to pack quick. And I had to get a 5-hour journey in to Liverpool. And I remember as soon as I arrived in the house, it just immediately felt like home. And I knew it was the right place for me to be. And it was just home. So it was just the energy, the vibrations were beautiful. And the next day, lockdown happened. And I was really lucky
just
that
like that.
We were together. And for a few months, that's when the spiritual kind of recognition started. There was a farm next to the house, and I would go out and see, pheasants walking along. And immediately I'd feel emotional, and there'd be some change in me. And it was really strange. I can't really explain it, but I just started to become more aware and why I was there.
So how do you know? What I wanted to ask, well, really, this episode is to demonstrate your gift and not focus so much on deafness. But to be honest, deaf people have a strong intuition. They communicate within. And as a hearing person, I can see both hearing people and deaf people and how strong deaf people's intuition is. Do you feel that this strong gift you have, this pull you have, this intuition, I mean, what theory do you follow? What studies, what access to information do you have? Have you read up any literature about it?
I did a spiritual coaching course, and that was in English. But to be honest, I already knew it. I already knew the stuff.
But like, do you know what I mean? You have an understanding. But for me, I would maybe do some research to understand what this is for me. But it's difficult for deaf people to access this information, isn't it?
I was so lucky. I was really, really lucky because I'm grateful I can read. But there's some words I can't understand, and then Craig would translate it for me, thank God. Yeah.
So Craig is clever. He also knows a lot about, spirituality.
He's quite spiritual himself, and obviously my sister as well. She's consign, and I had a friend at the time who was an interpreter called Rachel, like one of my favourite friends for years, and she's quite spiritual herself. So, she would give me some brief understanding. So I was lucky I could read as well, because some people don't have that reading. Some people they need everything in sign language, and that's why I love to interpret it all and take away that logic, because for me, signing is my feminine, it's my natural form. I don't want to use my brain. So if you imagine as well, hearing, people have 20% hearing, 20% touch, 20% smell, 20% taste, and then I don't know what the other senses are, but if you imagine you've got a certain percentage and then a deaf person doesn't have that in the hearing, it just gets added to the other senses.
It's almost like a gain.
Yeah, so it's like, we all have senses as humans. And that is, again, with the intuition. And hearing people will just operate differently with their senses and their intuition. Mm-hmm. And with me, I'll try and hear some music. Like, I can hear it briefly, but I do not like it. That sense to me makes me feel, like that. Yeah. That affects me emotionally. I just don't like it. I just take it away from my ear. I don't want to see it. And talking as well. No, I don't want it. And my masculine energy will take over, and it'll be too much, too overwhelming. For me to say pure, for me to say authentic.
Really, it's not a disability. It's just the way society perceives deafness.
It's your power.
A rearrangement of power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And realistically, there's too much masculine energy in the world. There really is. In order for us to be balanced, we need to have that feminine energy.
You think it's changing now?
I think for me, because I've often posted on Instagram and people, you meet people, they want to learn sign language, and I'll always communicate using sign language because I've had to accept on a deeper level that I'm deaf. And I believe that what you mirror to the world is really important. So, like, for example, if I go to the pub and ask a man for a drink, I will always use my sign language. I have to be myself. Or for people out there love me, they have to know who I am. And they have to learn from us. We're the teachers to them, not the other way around.
Do you say there's a deeper acceptance and that's how you help clients? That deeper acceptance, there's levels to it, right? I'm proud to be deaf, but there's a deeper feeling.
Yeah. I always tell these two things. Imagine your inner child coming over to you and crying and saying, I feel lonely, I feel isolated, they're not suitable for me, the hearing world isn't signing, it's not good for me. You can't obviously tell every hearing person, go learn sign language. Obviously, I wish you could, but you can't do that. So you have to sit with your inner child and say, I appreciate you. I value you. I see you. Your inner child wants you to understand, as an adult, kind of look and see that and I feel your pain and I understand you. And then once you give that love, you can feel okay. And then you can always tell my clients, you have to just accept, like, I accept I will always miss out on things. And I think once you have that acceptance, it helped me. It really helped me that you will just accept there will be barriers, but know your limits. You can't fight endlessly. You have to know when to back off. You have to know...
Protect your boundaries, your well-being.
Yeah, protect yourself. For example, table syndrome, you know, people will be at the table talking and you will start to feel it build up. It will start to bubble up and you've got to know when you need to
that's
leave.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm not here to fight and fight and fight. Obviously, I can assert myself and advocate myself, but I'm not going to get drained of my energy because I have to look after myself. So when I'm with Craig or family, you know, I'm like, please sign.
That your mental health.
Please sign, please sign, please sign. But if they carry on and, you know, I'm having to ask too much, that's it. I'm done. I'll go. I will go. And that's really helped me a lot, is knowing my balance, knowing my boundaries, knowing my community. And sometimes hearing people appreciate me more that way. Because I value my time. I value myself enough to know that I'm going to be there, not endlessly. I have a limit. 1 hour of Kori is all you're going to get and I'm going to go. And people value that.
Yeah.
You know, they know that I'm only going to give 1 hour. They know that I've got my limits. If I'm just there for 5 hours and people talking and I'm losing myself, I want my time to be worthy and of high value. So that's when I'll go. And, you know, I think maybe hearing people can learn to do that. Know your limits, but also be gentle and accept that you are going to miss out on things in life. You are going to not have it all.
Manage your expectations, your emotions, the way you respond to situations, to society, to the world. And you can't do too much fighting.
Too much fighting. You have to allow space for yourself and protect your joy, protect your happiness.
It's the same with me being an independent mum. I have to, you know, be a single mum. I can't pester their father. I've just got to accept it. I'm a single mum. And I will miss out. I will struggle. You know, but I chose him to be the father of my children. So I have to accept these choices.
Self-acceptance is so powerful.
Fantastic advice from Kori. So you're off now, aren't you?
Yeah, Nottingham. Going to Nottingham. I think this is the sign, the bow and arrow, yeah. Friends group, we're going away for the weekend to a lovely retreat. And, well, we're going to switch off, have some fun, be silly.
Yes.
We're going to do a spa and then we're going to go go-karting. I always go go-karting with Craig and he's always first. I'm not bothered really, but maybe, you know, maybe I'll sit out. Maybe this will be the first time I win. I don't know. But I'm excited to be with the tarot cards, spiritual kind of.
And how many are going?
I think there's one friend from New Zealand that's normally with us. So I think there's eight, yeah. So there's one that's coming tomorrow because she's got childcare. But yeah.
8 friends, all deaf?
Yeah, all deaf. And
all spiritual?
Yeah.
All met through social media?
Yeah, we all
Great,
met.
fantastic.
Yeah, in the future I want to create more safe spaces, more retreats for my clients.
I want clients to organise a retreat.
Yeah, I'd love to do it.
I'd want that. Maybe we could collaborate and work together.
Yeah, just work on intuition, vulnerability, being open, getting rid of shame and self-blame. Mm-hmm. We need to finish all that.
You went to a yoga retreat, didn't you? Was it in Morocco?
Yeah, no.
Did you go? No.
Morocco's this year.
What, last year?
Was Peru.
Oh, Peru.
I was ill though.
Well, were you?
I was ill. I was so fucked, but it was such a beautiful place. But Peru was ill. So I missed out on loads of things. I joined the hike once I'd recovered from being ill. But when I got home, I booked a reading with my favourite lady. And she said to me, you needed to be ill in Peru. I was like, for fuck's sake, what the hell? I paid all that money. I was like, what? Please. But she was like, you needed to be ill.
Why?
I think my energy was too high at the time. And yeah, I just needed to
Really?
detox
You
from
needed
that.
to switch off.
And I came back a new person, yeah. I came back.
Interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Fantastic woman, Kori, and you can connect with her on Instagram. Is it Kori
Bella, yeah. Kori Bella.
Kori Bella, which means beauty. Is it only deaf clients you have, or hearing?
Hearing as well, but just sign language. It's all BSL. Sometimes I do emails with hearing clients. Yeah, but mostly deaf.
Well, the sign language community, reach out to Kori Bella. She's your girl. Thank you.
And also the Asian community. It's good to have diverse representation of the Asian community.
Are there a few Asian people who do
there's
spiritual
lots.
teachings?
There's lots.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, Hayley. Thank you.
Excited to have you.
Bye.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. And like I said, if you got through it and your mind didn't discombobulate because of the weird voiceover kind of, obviously it was the editing, it will be improved over the time, and maybe I can change the voice of my guest. I don't know, but I'm limited on time, and I hope that you enjoyed that episode. And like I said, get in touch with Kori. I adore her, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you soon.